Welcome to the Energy Evolution Exchange. We are here at OTC 26 in Houston. My name is Amy Sweezy, and I am going to be your host live here in Houston the next 3 days here in the Energy Evolution Exchange. So I'm very excited to introduce our first guest. The way we're going to do it is our guest is going to come and do a presentation for you, and then after his presentation, he's going to join me over here in these lovely leather chairs, and we're going to do a quick little Q&A. At that point, if any of you have any questions that you would like to ask him, you're welcome to do so as well, but hopefully I'll ask some of the questions that you were already thinking while he's speaking. So let me welcome Shardul Sirsamkar. Shardul is with Honeywell Process Automation. He is the global business leader for FPSO and Marine. The title of his presentation today is Driving the Future of FPSO Performance, Digitalization, Integration, and Advanced Applications. So here in Houston live, and also to you at home who are streaming us live all across the globe, please welcome to the stage Shardul Sirsamkar.
Howdy. Is this how you greet in Houston? I'm told that this is the way. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shardul Sirsamkar. I'm the global business leader, as got introduced just now, so I'll not repeat that. Thank you for this opportunity. We'll talk about some of the newest and coolest stuff that we see on FPSOs today. That is applicable to the similar or parallel industries, that is floating LNG and other type of floaters. 30 minutes, we'll try to segment it, like maybe first 5-7 minutes on what we see in the industry outlook challenges. Then we'll move to the technical part of session, but not too detailed. We'll talk about how we use technology to address some of the challenges on our CapEx projects right now. And we'll talk about some of the new stuff that can be used to design the floating assets in future, like where technology is really helping us, which direction we should move. So we'll focus on that. We'll try to wrap up everything in 30 minutes so that we get some time for question and answers as well. So, and just one more thing, like if I say anything wrong, it's easy to blame it on jet lag, right? Like I just got in here yesterday. So I'll try to stay awake, and hopefully my presentation will keep you guys awake, especially those who have traveled from Asia. I can see a lot of folks here. So welcome, and let's get started. Too fast. All right. So we already talked about this, right? Like we'll talk about the transition phase. We call it like we are seeing FPSOs going through a transition phase right now. Transition with respect to a lot of things, like transition with respect to we see FPSOs going deeper and deeper, like ultra deep water depths. We see rising CapEx. We talk about a sense of urgency for optimizing the OpEx. We talk about using technology to our advantages. And the revolution... Right. So we'll talk about that transition. We talk about the industry response to this. We hear a lot of words these days: digital transformation, cyber security, cyber advancement. We talk about demanning. How do we really see those things in today's world? How do we see those applications? Where is the change? How are we adapting to it? Where do we see ourselves in 5 years? We'll talk about all that, right? So let's get started, right? Like challenges, like what's happening. Let me just put all the points here, and we'll go through this one by one, right? So if I have to categorize the challenges that we see today, right? There are challenges with respect to finances, right? Like we just talked about the projects becoming technology heavy, and then the amount of money that we see getting invested, that's massive. Let me take an example, like FPSOs 10 years ago. FPSOs 10 years ago, we would easily see like a $250 million capex project, and then people would expect like a simple thing to go on it, 6 months, 8 months conversion. That's it, up and running, first oil, we start enjoying good life, right? Like we're talking about the golden era, 2010 to 2014, we would see like 10 FPSOs, 15 FPSOs in a year. Now let's compare that with what we see in last 4 or 5 years. Some of the recent projects, the capex is around $4 billion. $4 billion is a huge amount of money. And then it comes with other things, right? Like the financing, higher interest rates, right? The interest rates are so massive, and if you just do a little math on it, like you go with that 5% interest rate, and you see the amount of money that you spend in these interests, it's much more than the whole capex that would we see on FPSO 10 years ago. So that's why looking into this capex optimization or addressing those challenges with help of technology are more relevant in today's world compared to what we used to say 10 years ago. Other thing is like the smaller pool of banks available to finance this. And then what happens during the capex phase, right? Like if there are delays, if there are challenges, and those delays causing this first oil to delay, and then we start realizing the money late, the impact of that. I was just talking to someone yesterday from the industry, and they were talking about an industry giant putting in a lot of money for towing FPSO from Asia to its destination, and a lot of backups and all that. And we were like, why we want to invest so much of money behind this, right? And the answer came is, if this FPSO gets delayed by a day, the impact is going to be $26 million in terms of money realized with loss of 1 day production. So if that's the case, right, like we are talking that big numbers nowadays compared to maybe $2 million, $4 million, 10 or 15 years ago, we need to see like what we can do in terms of technology to address these type of challenges. So one is financial. Second is because of these ultra deep water, because of the complexities from the production that we get, so the technology that is used on top sites to address these challenges, it's too complicated. Then how do we manage the operations with respect to that? How do we get our right people on board? Or also demanning, right? Like how do we address the issues like we get fewer people to do the operations effectively, and we can use some concepts like autonomous operations, remote operations, integrated operations to solve our issues. So that's basically the operational or technical challenges. The other challenges are environmental, right? Like we talk about compliance to IEC standards. There is a lot that is going on with respect to cybersecurity, with respect to remote operations, with respect to environmental compliances. So how do we deal with that? And then the last part is basically the risk mitigation. So these are some of the challenges that we see. We will not be able to address each and every element of this in today's session, but what we will try to do is we'll try to address some of these. Do you guys hear me okay? Cool. So before we move on to the technical piece, right, like I just would like to start with this tornado chart that you see here, right? This has got 5 key parameters that actually affect the, hold on for a second, that affect the economics of FPSO today. And so this is basically this is designed keeping the greenfield asset, basically a gas and a condensate producing asset in mind. So if we see what matters the most, the stakeholders or investors, they are looking for the healthy and risk-free returns. And around these parameters, like what matters the most is basically the condensate sell price or condensate yield, capex, opex, of course, both fixed and variable, and the gas sell price. Now, out of these 5, 3 of them are very difficult for us to control from an automation or a technology provider perspective, right? Like war kind of situations or any other situation which is very difficult for us to control the oil prices or gas prices. The yield has got a big impact on IRR, but then it's again beyond technology providers' control to influence that or to impact that. What can impact from a technology perspective out of these parameters are 2, capex and opex. We used to look at opex from a OpEx in old days, right, used to be one of the prime factor. People still talk about, let me know the total cost of ownership, and I want to see like how much money I end up spending on this for maintaining this over 20 years. But again, as I said earlier, it is more important nowadays to look into the capex part, especially when these investments are crossing $4 billion mark, and then amount of money that can flow in because of the delays and challenges. So putting efforts on optimizing the capex is probably more important than looking into the OpEx in today's world. I work for Honeywell, so I need to show you this. It's not that I don't get my paycheck if I don't show you this, but the reason I want to show you this is these numbers are massive. This is where Honeywell has provided the control system on these floaters. And we talk about FPSOs today, 51. In fact, that number soon, by end of this week, will be 52. That's a massive number, and in general, these numbers are massive. So whatever I'm going to talk today is basically out of the experience that we have gained over these projects, and that's the technology suggestions or experience that we are seeing on these projects. I would like to share it with you. So, as I said earlier, we are going to split it in two parts. One is we'll talk about the challenges on the CapEx projects right now. And the second is how do we look at designing the asset in a completely different way. When we talk about the challenges on CapEx part, right, if you talk to any EPC or the FPSO design company and you ask them like, what is the biggest pain or what is the biggest challenge that you see today? More than often you get this answer that I want to make sure that I get my FPSO out on time and on budget. Getting this on time and on budget, if that is a topmost priority, the automation supplier or a technology provider look into it like, what are the pain areas in that process and how can I support this? So first thing that comes is like, how do I accommodate late changes? Now, late changes are enforced to the engineering team from the process side, or there are 10 other reasons for that. But if the technology can help us to accommodate these changes as late as possible without impacting any hardware delays or without impacting any schedule changes, that's gold, right? So technology does have an answer to that type of situation. So universal IOs have been around for a while, but then universal IOs coupled with some of the technologies like IO Hive, which is in layman's language, soft mapping of IOs. In conventional engineering days, the IO freeze used to happen within 3 or 4 months after the start of the project. What if today we tell you that the EPCs or the engineering companies, they can have only 2 months before the FAT to freeze their IOs? This helps to eliminate all those changes and cost and schedule impact associated with this. Another challenge, how do I optimize project schedule? You take the technology piece to the next level, like use virtual engineering platforms for engineering and disconnect the entire hardware and project engineering phase and do the engineering in virtual environment. That eliminates a lot of manual processes and helps to optimize the schedule by roughly 20 or 25%. See, all these technology pieces or the topics are to be discussed in detail. Each of these can be a topic on its own for 30 or 40 minutes worth of discussion. So I will not be able to go in detail for each and every one of that, but I just want to mention it here, and I am here and my colleagues from Honeywell are here. If you are interested, we can go through these topics in detail and we can share with you like how does this exactly relate on your actual project. So project digitalization, so use virtual engineering, use project documentation in electronic format. Honeywell has got a tool called CAPE for that, that is collaborative autonomous project execution. These are the tools that helps us to take this off the critical path. Then integration is one of the most challenging thing on FPSOs, right? So we talk about integration with subsea, integration with topside packages, electrical integration, and then last but not the least, the simulator. We are looking at live simulator very seriously these days, and How does that impact it with respect to timeline of our ongoing project, and then getting our operators trained with the live scenarios, and all that is a very interesting topic. But more, we use technology for seamless integration, not impacting project schedule and cost. That's something that we are focusing on some of our recent projects. One of the thing is the packages, right? Like conventional way of doing package interfaces on FPSOs. FPSO are becoming more and more complex. Today we see around 80 or 85 topside packages. Half of them are hardwired. So we are talking about 30 or 35 topside IFATs on FPSO project. What if the technology is available for us to conduct these IFATs remotely? We save a lot of time, we save a lot of money. On one of our FPSO, the FPSO design company opted to use this technology piece, and they ended up saving $1.2 million by using this technology. Now, $1.2 million could be a very small amount of money when we compare it with CapEx. But then, the real value here is time. When these IFATs happen, you are at the most critical stage of your project. You want to finish it, you want to complete with your commissioning phase, you want to get the FPSO to sail away. Now, if your schedules are clashing, you have 3 or 4 IFATs running in parallel, these type of technology pieces are going to be very helpful. Other challenges, how do I control my cost during my commissioning phase? We don't look at it when we start the project. Example, we look at only the man days or hours, and we just factor that in based on our some previous projects, and we get going. Only to realize it that when we are under pressure that we have to complete it in next 27 days, we feel that, oh, we increase the manpower by 4 times, we increase the manpower by 5 times, increasing FSRs. The amount of money we end up paying on these kind of things compared to our planned money is huge. We end up spending $5 to $7 million more on this, which is not estimated or not accounted. If the technology is available for us to address this, why not use it? The most recent FPSO that we did, we used this technology, and the EPC on the end user, they put in a math to it, and they claim to save 18,000 man hours during commissioning phase by using this technology. So this is again a piece that is available. This is very new. This is what we are seeing in last couple of years in the FPSO industry. So this is about addressing some of the challenges in the conventional way of project execution, or the way FPSOs are designed today. Now, if we want to have a look at new ideas or new concepts on how the FPSO or the floater can be designed to give us benefits right from the beginning. So this is where the concepts like demanning or lean operations come into picture. So how do I design a FPSO that requires fewer hours of operation per year? Meaning, if a FPSO in conventional way it is designed for, let's say, example, 300,000 hours of operations per year. Can I design a floater, or can I design an asset which requires only 100,000 hours of operations instead of 300,000 hours of operations per year? If we can achieve this, then we are going to save huge amount of money through operations, and that is basically the offshore operations, which is very expensive. And how do technology respond to that? So the first answer to this is, if we can move some of the operations activities onshore, like let's say we have a integrated operation center or remote operation center, and we move some of these activities where the workforce or people onshore are easier to manage, it is less expensive, and there is capex associated with this, right? Like a remote operation center probably could cost you maybe $3 million or $5 million per year. But then, if you put in a model around it and you realize that it's going to save you around $22 to $24 million a year in terms of operations by investing this $3 to $5 million on onshore control room, this is going to be a game changer. So first step for your demanning initiative is have a IOC or ROC, move some of these operations activities onshore, and you have fewer people on board to carry out your operations. Now, when we are talking about carrying out these operations with fewer people on board effectively, there are challenges. See, FPSO is still there, the process is the same, maintenance activities are same. So how can you manage it with fewer people? When you have to manage it with fewer people, then you have to make sure that the stress or the activities that people are going to do are going to be less stressful for them compared to the conventional way. So one way to look at it is, how can I make my process more stable? What do you mean by making process more stable? So if process is more stable, meaning there are less alarms, less events, and less work or less stress for the operators. So the work that was done by 3 operators, if that can be done by only 1 operator, this is the gain that you get. Plus extra production or more throughput, which probably can impact roughly around 20% on your overall output or throughput. So what is the technology's response to that? So technology's response to that is solutions like advanced process control. So advanced process control can come in picture to address your issues on stabilizing the process. The next is, how can I make my operator more efficient? How can I make my average operator the best operator? For you to do that, nowadays the tools based on AI, like we all talk about ChatGPT or similar, right? Like don't quote me, right? I'm not favoring any one technology or one solution provider here, but you get my point, right? Like if you can make these AI-based tool available for operator on their operator screen, where they can ask them like, can you help me in this situation? Can you tell me like what I should be careful about under these circumstances? Or if AI-based tools are helping operators to manage their day-to-day activities, that's something that is new, and that is going to get very common on FPSO. So if we get familiarized with this now, if we adopt to this now, that's another thing that we should look for. Now, the most important is the maintenance cost. How do I optimize or minimize my maintenance cost on board with fewer people? So again, the answer to that is the use of AI-based solutions. So like technologies like APM, Asset Performance Monitoring, these come to rescue. And the use of AI or use of the matured models to put around the rotating equipments to reduce or move the maintenance cycles from periodic to predictive and help us to realize these failures well in advance. And if we can save 4 hours of downtime, which can result into a savings of $2 to $3 million. These are some real numbers from real FPSO cases. So this is useful. But what we see is we wait too long. Like when do we see this getting implemented on FPSOs today? We see this getting implemented when our maintenance costs started to go way beyond our estimated values. Maybe after 8 years of operations, after maybe 10 or 12 years of operations, we see dying wells, we see that, oh, my maintenance costs are beyond control. If we can make the best use of it right from day one, the investment is very little, but the benefit that you get are massive with respect to these technology pieces. Then another thing is, how do I ensure stability and reliability on my FPSO? So the typical challenge that we see is, right, like FPSO is up and running, and then we see that there are forced upgrades. You are forced to upgrade your FPSO within 3 years, or every 3 or 5 years, there are some forced upgrades. Maybe because of the operating system doesn't support anymore, or there are issues with network or cybersecurity or patch management, those kind of challenges. But then you should be upgrading the FPSO only when you see a value with it. It should not be forced. And one of the answer from technology is virtualization, which can help you to see through maybe 3 years of time with these unforced, uh, by eliminating the forced upgrades, it allows you to see through maybe 9 years, and you upgrade it once after 9 years and once after 15 years, so that you can realize probably $8 to $10 million worth of saving over the 20 years operations cost by eliminating these forced upgrades. Then IT to OT transformation. So you're looking at the most complex architecture these days. See, I mean, I still remember we introduced cybersecurity on FPSOs back in 2019 and 20 for one of our FPSO in India. And we thought that, wow, this is something incredible. Only to surprise ourselves that the FPSO architecture that we see today, like the complications on level 2 and above, like level 3, level 3.25, level 3.5, then all the interfaces with level 4, the firewalls, the routing, the separation of LAN networks, the separation between different OEMs integrating with ICSS, the cybersecurity compliances that are required for this. It's becoming too complicated. So what you need is someone who is experienced, who can do the risk assessment, someone can define the guidelines for this, someone who can bring in all that FPSO experience of implementing these complicated networks and integrate all the top sites seamlessly, considering the software and IC regulations in place. That is something very important nowadays, and technology is advancing to make you realize all these benefits. We did talk about IOC, ROC. So in short, I think I got only 2 minutes left for this. So when we talk about integration, right, another challenge or another important aspect that we see is the more you have with respect to technology getting offered on FPSO and seamless integration on board. What I have displayed here is what Honeywell does in this space, right? Like with respect to the UOP portfolio with gas treatment and not on FPSO, but more on FLNGs, the air product portfolio that Honeywell acquired recently. Then comes to the Sundyne portfolio with the compressors, and then CCC for the compressor control. Moving on to the process automation, then moving on to the digital element of it or the software element, and then moving into field instruments. Now, it should not be the only commercial benefit to see the value of bundling together. The value should be realized with respect to the applications integrating with each other seamlessly. Example, like if the CCC application sits on top of the compressor package, right, on Sundyne compressor, and you put a Forge APM, asset performance monitoring, on top of this, the value that we realize is phenomenal. Or Sundyne working closely with UOP. Those kind of things. So there are multiple combinations or these technology integration pieces available which you can actually get from this portfolio out there. So more integration, more value, seamless integration, time management, and on budget, on time delivery. That is what we are looking for. I think that's my time. So for my closing statement, what I can say is technology is available, but are we ready to adopt to that technology? A lot of times when we talk to our customers, we feel that, oh yeah, it's good, but it's too complicated. I just want to get my FPSO out and I want to start producing. But these technology pieces are going to help you to get that FPSO out faster and cheaper, and it's going to help you to operate that asset in an efficient and better manner. It's going to give you a lot of benefits with respect to your CapEx and OpEx benefits. With this, I conclude my small talk. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I need some water.
You need some water, yes.
Yes.
Grab some water. Thank you all for being here. We're just going to ask a couple of quick questions, a couple of follow-up questions. So I hope you can stay and join us. Shardul, obviously you spent a lot of time talking about the challenges and then, of course, what Honeywell is doing to handle those challenges. I want to ask you a little bit more about the digitalization and how it's changing. How quickly is this happening? Talk about the timing. Like, is this happening faster than we can keep up, or do we just have to keep up and we have no other choice?
No, we definitely have to keep up. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay. So again, digitalization, we see it from two perspectives. We see digitalization on project right now. Again, I will be talking from an automation supplier or technology provider's perspective. Our experience is that we see digitalization during the project, and we see the digitalization aspect helping more on operations side once the FPSO is deployed. The first part, we see a lot of acceptance, especially in last 3 to 4 years. We see that it's already happening. The second part, we see a lot of curiosity right now. We see a lot of talks that are being initiated. But then I feel that people are still skeptical and people are like, okay, we'll see it when we cross the bridge, right? So I think it's our responsibility to create awareness. We need to engage with them with the live examples. We can talk about some of their existing assets and their situation and understand their pain areas and put a value proposition specific to that particular case with dollar values in mind and taking some responsibility to deliver it with some benefits guaranteed. I think that's the way to go forward.
All right. You mentioned a couple of examples in your talk, but I would love if you could just share a recent example where Honeywell made a measurable impact, either on an FPO safety, maybe the cost, maybe the scheduled performance.
Sure. So I did mention one example, and that's really massive. So as I said earlier, one of the biggest challenge for the FPSO design companies is to see through the commissioning phase quickly, right? I mean, overcome the challenges of cost and delays during the commissioning phase. So Honeywell has this technology called automated device commissioning, which got used on one of the recent projects. And the claims, not from Honeywell, are that using this technology, there is a savings of 18,000 man-hours during the commissioning phase. Now, 18,000 man-hours, you put a very simple math to it, like in the most conservative manner, like $200 an hour in Asia. I think that's very conservative. And you reflect that to a number, you easily get like $3.5 million worth of savings. Now, $3.5 million worth of savings, which is not accounted for when you start the project, right? And instead of you realizing it like, oh, I have to spend this money, and you realize, well, I don't have to spend that money now, right? So that is something big. This is going to get bigger and bigger. Like, this is just one element of it. There are multiple cases like technology, like doing the IFATs remotely, or there are references, not on FPSOs, but on land-based projects. People do the complete FAT also remotely. And there are a lot of savings with respect to schedule and money associated with it. So technology is there. It's just that how ready we are to adopt to it.
Okay, you spent a lot of time talking about the challenges, and of course, the challenges that we face, and then what Honeywell is doing to help address these challenges. But can you talk a little bit more about how Honeywell addresses these issues from day one? It's that's an important part of this.
Yes. So it's very important to start early, right? Like if we start, so day one, like what is typically day one for us, right? Like let's say Honeywell is awarded, and when we are awarded a project, there is a kickoff meeting, and in the conventional way, there is a lot of dependency on hardware, right? Like we place order on servers and controllers, and we have to wait for that 2 months for this to get delivered, and we start engineering. What we do today is we use technology, and we start engineering in virtual environment right on day one. So upfront, we save that 2 months. Now, we used to talk about FPSO cycle of 24 months in old days, right? The project cycles are shrinking. We are talking about FPSOs getting delivered in 18 months. We want the FATs to be done by 11, 12 months, right? And if you're looking at these cycles, and then we suddenly talk about saving 2 months upfront, that's massive. So this is one technology piece that Honeywell is proud of for helping to optimize the schedule. Then there is virtual engineering that saves a lot of time. That's another thing. There is universal I/O technology combined with I/O Hive, which is soft mapping, which addresses the challenges of I/O changes or engineering changes or accommodating these engineering changes during the project phase. So these are all CapEx related. We are seeing some interest from our customers on adopting to some software applications right from day one. So we are talking about APM and APC, we did talk about it, but we are talking about process safety analyzer. We are talking about plant-wise optimizer. We are talking about using other assets, the experience from other assets, to get that information or data in and put in a model to bring in efficiency to not only one, but across the fleet. So it's more like a smart FPSO or a smart ship or smart offshore world, those kind of concepts. We do see a lot of encouragement on participation in the feed phase as well as the design phase. We see some interest on partnerships for developing their own models. So it's an exciting time, I would say. And most of these global leaders have seen a lot of activity, especially in the last couple of years around this. And we hope that this results into something that gets delivered in near time. So really exciting times ahead.
All right, let's end by talking about the future. Your final slide said the future is autonomous. So tell us a little bit about how these models will be shaping the future.
We already see the first step that is being taken, right? Like if you see the recent FPSOs in Brazil or in Guyana, they all are equipped with these remote centers, right? Like the integration center or operation centers. And we see this, or if you see the floaters in Australia, right? Like some of the leading companies where the way they operate their offshore assets today. It's a positive change. And what we see is that it's going to get bigger and bigger, right? Like the dependency on people on board is going to be little. There are a lot of white papers today where we talk about unmanned floaters. I'm not sure how quickly we are going to reach to that stage, but there are some news in last couple of weeks that some of the recent floaters, the floating production units, are going to be completely unmanned in the near future. So that's the future, I would say. And all these technology pieces are enabling us to embark on that journey. So we are really looking forward to that.
All right. Shardul Sirsamkar, did I get it right? Almost. Sirsamkar.
You got it.
I got it. He keeps telling me I got it right.
Yeah.
Honeywell Process Automation, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate that you shared with us here at OTC 26.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. And make sure you're back for 12:30, the Nigerian perspective on energy evolution. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.